Does anybody else have a question? We could start with questions that you might have, or we can go into some of the questions we built.
I already asked mine, so I'm good to wait, but.
Awesome.
What was your question, Julie? I just tuned in. Hi.
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 This is who? Hey, Milky?
Milky. Yep.
Hi, Gray. I thought I recognized that voice. Kay, I asked about, I was getting some sound feedback last week when I was in my Google Hangouts with my small groups. They said, so probably it's a visual tool. They said instead of presenting as a tab, instead present as either full screen or a window. So give that a try. And then the other thing was when I am presenting, if it's something that's interactive, there seems to be a lot of lag time from when I click on present and choose my tab to when the kids actually get to see it. And then if I switch to a different screen or a different slide, the kids will say, it's not there, we don't see it anymore. So we're thinking I might have either too many tabs open or if I take my video or sound and myself out of the video, that would cause less energy on the computer's part, and so it might be able to load more quickly.
Okay,
Have you had any issues with
Excuse me?
Meets? Have you had any issues with your Meets or your Hangouts, Kay?
No, just a little bit with the sound, but in the presentation mode, but we got that taken care of because now we have that third option of the Chrome tab. Is that what it is? So that seems to take care of it. And then of course, just reminding everyone to put their microphone on mute.
Yeah.
But I just learned a couple things from what you said. So thank you.
Okay. You're very welcome.
Yeah, we definitely have found that if you turn your camera off, because if you don't need to be seen, it will definitely kind of take the pressure off your computer because you don't need to have your camera necessarily on, especially if you're presenting your screen. Your kids aren't looking at you anyway. And that sometimes helps also with the connection issue because, you know, with Wi-Fi, that's one less thing for it to be kind of eating up part of your bandwidth. So,
okay.
And it saves your battery. If you're not doing your video, my computer can die after a single hour of Google Meet. But if I turn off my video component, it can last a lot longer.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give that a try tomorrow.
Becky, were you commenting on my?
Yes. Let's turn back on your video so everybody can see. Licky, did you see that back there?
Oh, that's a great stormtrooper if I ever saw one.
May the Fourth be with you. The Canterbury morning announcements this morning was all Star Wars. It was awesome.
that was nice. Okay, I'm going to go to the presentation. And so, let's click on the next screen. So here's our plan. We have pre-prepared, is that redundant? We've pre-prepared slides that have frequently asked questions. So maybe you didn't even know you didn't know the answer or had that question. So we're going to be going through those, but at any time, if you have a question, please just type it in the chat and then we will add it to the slides. Like we'll put it in the queue so we can answer your question. And what we're hoping is that, you know, we'll have the video of this, of the recording of this, but also this slides presentation has so many great frequently asked questions in it. I think it's a great place to send people if they have that question or just send them the slide if they have that question. So I think all in all, it's a really good resource.
Okay. I have one quick question and I'm sorry to interrupt.
You're not interrupting at all. This is all about you.
No, but like I'm looking at my screen right now and it's black, nothing. Do you guys have anything up yet or are you just kind of orally announcing right now?
I have my presentation up. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
So weird. Okay, I think I'm gonna exit out and then come back in because my mouse is not letting me click and see anything or change anything. So
Why don't you try
I'll
that?
be
That
right-
sounds like a good option.
I'm gonna try that. Hold on. I'll be right back.
I have a couple of Google Classroom questions.
Great.
One is about, is there a way to archive assignments without deleting them? No, that's what I thought.
No.
And then,
You
Is
know
there
what
a
I do
way-
with Google Classroom? Actually, do you want to see how I've kind of done that? In a way. I mean, I haven't
well,
totally done that.
I've moved them into this like old assignment thing, but
Oh, that's exactly what I did. Good.
Okay.
We're on the same
then
page.
the other one was, is there a way when you do a Google integrated assignment to pick certain students to get the assignment, or does it do everyone in the class?
That's excellent. We have that question.
Okay, then I will defer that. And the other one is any ideas for whiteboard apps to use with Google Meets? So those are my questions.
Next, can you add the whiteboarding apps after the classroom question I'm about to do?
I'm adding it.
Okay, so that is a great question. How do I assign to individual students in classroom or multiple students instead of everyone? And what we did was make a GIF, but I can also just walk through it. So what we're gonna do, let me share another tab here. Oh, I'm not sharing anymore, am I? I was thinking Becky was gonna jump in. Okay, so let me share my tab.
I'm in there, but it is not. Are you seeing me?
Yeah,
Okay. I can't see anything. I've got a black screen. I'm going to try to get in on another computer.
okay.
Okay.
The question that's up right now?
That's not quite my question, but I'll hold off.
Oh, okay, well then ask me, then tell me what you need to be able to do.
When we use Pearson Realize or Social Studies Weekly, we can Google integrate an assignment to our classroom. But I've only seen it assigned to everyone in my classroom, like it does a mass. I want to know if there's a way I can only assign that integrated assignment to certain students. I know how to do it if it's
yeah.
my assignment.
That's a good question. Becky, did you hear that?
I did hear that. I don't use the assign to Google Classroom feature. Is there another tech coach that does possibly?
Do you think we'd look it up from the Pearson website as opposed to thinking about Google Classroom? That's what I was going to do. Is that what you mean, Michelle? You're in Pearson and you want to assign something to only 1 or 2 or 5 students, whatever it might be.
I can do a Pearson assignment. If I
Okay.
want to do the Google integrated assignment, I can't pick and choose. At least I haven't found a way to pick and choose which students get that.
I
Because
see.
right now, and next year I'll set up my Google Classroom differently, but I have a 4-5 split. So I just have one like homeroom classroom. And some of the reading material I only want to assign to 4th grade, and some of it I only want to assign to 5th grade. And I can do that if it's my own assignment, but I was just wondering with the Google integration if there was a way. That's all.
Can you just link that and send them there? Instead of doing the integration, go into assignment in classroom and then pick your students? Because the integration, at least my understanding is with all the other sites that we use it with, is that it just automatically populates the link. Like it doesn't really do anything else except automatically make that link connection, which you could do manually by just copying and pasting where you want the students to go or telling them to go to. So for example, we use Big Ideas in math. There is the same thing with the integration. I can push it to classroom and then it opens up like kind of like that assignment. But we don't do it that way. We just tell the students to go to Big Ideas and then it's waiting for them there. So I wonder if you just made an assignment and then you chose your students from there instead of using the push notification or the integration, if you could do it that way, because it gives you kind of more options.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Did you see Julie's comment? Can you edit the assignment after you post it so that just some students can see?
That's a good idea.
I tried it once and I wasn't able to edit who it went to.
Oh.
And I had fifth graders going, well, we read this last year. And I was like, very confused.
Just ignore
I
that.
can answer that question. We do that, Michelle, in our Google Classroom. By only selecting which student it go to. I had to switch computers. My screen went black.
All right, well,
Do
we
you want to?
have Google Classroom. Should we continue along here, Becky? You muted yourself.
I'm in.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to Becky. Okay, so I'm gonna go, you can just put it in the chat, Becky.
It's also.
Oh, you put it in number 8? Is that what you wanted me to do? Oh, whiteboards, yes. Thank you for reminding me. So what whiteboard apps can I use to write on the screen? This is a great question and we did not put it in here. So there are so many options. Becky, are you gonna be typing in here?
I'm trying to. I'm sorry.
You got to turn off your, thank you. There you go. Okay. If people just want to yell them out, I'll add them on here because there are a lot of good ones. I like Jamboard.
Jamboard is my personal favorite.
I know Becky likes Ziteboard.
I tried whiteboard.fi.
Okay. Anyone else use something different?
We do Smartboard sometimes. My team really likes to use Smartboard. Just pull up a Smartboard while we're in there.
Rebecca, when they use Smartboard, though, the kids can't can the kids interact with? They can't, can they?
They cannot interact. You're purely using it as a whiteboard.
Okay, so with the whiteboard Fi, the kids can get each their own whiteboards. So then they can, yeah.
That's really cool. If you use Smartboard and you have that new app that me and Melissa were playing with last week, what's that app called? Melissa?
I don't know.
Remote Chrome, Remote Meet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Chrome Remote Desktop. Actually, you can use anything in the world. If you have Chrome Remote Desktop, there is a way for students to do anything on your screen, which is kind of cool. But whiteboard.fi sounds a lot better. Ziteboard is nice because Ziteboard, you can give the kids the link and they can go and look at any part of your notes. You can kind of like zoom in and zoom out, which is what I like. So kids can investigate it on their own, or they could stay with you. You can make them locked into where you're at in the Ziteboard.
I'm going to pull up Jamboard. It's a Google product. They actually have a physical Jamboard, or you can just open up Jamboard, new one, jamboard.google.com, or just Google it. And it is like a whiteboard. And it has an endless amount of frames. So sometimes if I'm in a Google Meet with a student and I'm trying to work through a math problem and I don't want to pull out my doc cam because that takes a while for me to get all that set up, what I can do, because at the high school we have touch screens. I don't know if all the buildings have touchscreen computers. So what I'll end up doing is just pulling this up and then writing the problem out here in front of them. And then obviously I'm sharing my screen at the same time. But with Jamboard, it's collaborative too, just like all the other Google products. So if you wanted all the students to be in the same frame at the same time, everyone could be adding things to it. Or I also like that in Jamboard.
Did you pull up Jamboard, Melissa? Because we can't see it. We are still on the presentation.
Sorry, just pulled it up. There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like. It's just a blank frame. And like I said, I like to use it for math because I can just write on my screen with my stylus, but I also like these sticky notes that you can have. So you could have all the students on the same board at the same time. It kind of looks like a Padlet. And you can have, you know, maybe they brainstorm together. So I do like Jamboard because it is collaborative, but also, you know, I can use it in real time as well. All right, I'll share this too. Any other whiteboard options people use? No? Okay, that was a good question. I'm glad we had that in there. Okay. Becky, do you have a preference where I go next?
I do not.
Do we want to stick in classroom or do we want to move on to Meet and communicating? How about we do that?
Yeah, that sounds great. I think that communicating might be good because I feel like that's a common thing from teachers.
Okay, so let's go to communicating and then I'll go back to Meet. So we just kind of put them in general topics so that they were all together. But again, if you have a question, please jump in. Nancy, we will be posting the presentation. Okay, so this is something, how can I call or text students and families without giving out my number? We made a document at the high school and sent it out, but I know not everyone had time in the moment to look at it. But we have been suggesting that people use Google Voice. And I like it because I can text. I also use Remind to text with students, but I don't have all my students in the Remind. But I do like that I can text with students and families. I also like that it allows me to have a voicemail, because if I call from my cell phone and I star 69 it or whatever, 67, I can't remember what the number is. If I do it, it comes up as private, but a lot of people don't answer private phone calls. And then I would have to leave a message. And then how am I leaving a message? They can't call me back because I don't want them to have my number. So instead, all of this is kind of fixed with Google Voice. The only thing is you do have to make it from your personal Gmail account. And my co-teacher expressed to me that she wasn't comfortable connecting it to her personal Gmail. So I suggested she just make a new Gmail specifically for the Google Voice account. And that's what I actually ended up doing as well. So of course, now I have 3 Gmails, but you know.
I did
Why
the same
not?
thing. I made it from my personal account, and we've had some teachers in the 9th grade team that said that they've had a lot more success texting parents than they have emailing or calling parents.
Agreed. So I do like that. And I even, like I said, if it comes up as a number and if I leave a voicemail, I can leave a voicemail for them to call me back at a specific number. What I have found has been really successful is calling the parent, leaving the voicemail with the number, telling them to give it to their kid, and then having the kid text me. And again, I have high school students, so it's different, obviously. But that's been successful because the parent doesn't actually want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to the parent. I just want their kid to be in touch with me. So that's been helpful for me. Google Voice has been really helpful, just to have another number to give people so that they can get in touch with me. Sometimes they're not always comfortable emailing. A lot of the kids have so many emails right now that they don't check it, but they definitely will, you know, they definitely see a text.
It's also nice because you could turn on a do not disturb time. I haven't practiced that. Maybe I should be practicing that because I do get text messages at midnight, but you can turn that on and off for specific times. Nancy, if you're using a Google Meet to make phone calls, I do believe it comes up as private or caller.
Yeah.
And Google Voice does have like a learning curve. The first time you make a phone call, it's really weird on your screen. It like pops up, do you want to make a call? And it's like a totally different number than what you typed in. But it's because it's like going through a server on your phone to make a call from a different phone number.
Well, that's weird. I usually just do it on my computer.
Yeah, I always do it on my phone, so.
I didn't even think about that. Another question is about using Infinite Campus for missing assignments. Did you want me to do this one or do you want me to go back to Meets, Becky?
I don't care. What do you guys think? Does everybody feel proficient in sending missing assignments messages? Because I first one today and woo, it was hard for me.
Can I ask a question about Meet before we move on?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I was doing a Google Meet with my students and I was showing them a video that was on YouTube. And sometimes I can see what I'm showing them. This is a little different than what we were talking, but sometimes I can see what I'm showing them, but sometimes I can't. And I don't know how to do that. So, because I want to see what point, I want to watch it too with them.
Becky, does this question kind of get at that?
I think so. So when you're presenting your screen, how do you present it?
I go to.
So like there are three options. There's that your entire screen, a window, or a Chrome tab.
Usually I do Chrome tab.
Okay. So I don't have a ton of experience on Chrome tab. Do any of our tech coaches, have you been using Chrome tab to?
Or whatever, I'll take a better way if there's a better way.
Well, if you want to present your sound, you have to use Chrome tab. So if you want the kids to hear the video, you definitely want to use Chrome tab.
Okay.
With Chrome tab, what I would do personally is I would put the two screens side by side. So I can watch the YouTube video and I can watch my students.
Okay, that makes sense.
But if you just want to see the progression of the video, then if you're on that Chrome tab presenting, you should be able to watch that.
Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't, and I just don't know what I'm doing different.
Yeah. If I were you, I would do the two screens side by side. And do you know how to easily get the two screens side by side?
Not really.
You want me to do that?
Yeah. Will you jump to that? That's under general questions. It looks
Well,
like
this also does
it
it
is
too.
36.
36? Okay.
Yep.
Learned how to make GIFs with Screencastify yesterday, so that's why there's so many GIFs in here.
We were pretty excited.
We were pretty excited. Let me present differently so I can, because right now I'm only showing, I'm going to do it live so it makes a little bit more sense. I'm going to share my entire screen.
Thanks, Joyce. We knew you'd love the GIFs.
All right, so this is my entire screen. Hopefully you are seeing the presentation still, but oh, come back. Nope, come back. Oh, now I'm really lost.
Technology is hard today.
I know. I think I know what I need to do. I need to do it right here and then. All right, Becky, I'm gonna.
I don't have an extended desktop, so it's easier for me. You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
I'm doing it. I'm taking over. Oh, real fast. You know what? I've been having so many issues while in this Google Meet. It's because I had this extension running. As soon as I turn it off, I've been having much better luck. Just so you
I
guys
agree
know.
with you. I don't think you need that extension anymore because they have the grid now automatically built into Meet for up to 16 people. So
Yeah.
I think the extensions make it run a lot slower.
Okay, so
Sometimes when I'm presenting, I see only that screen, and sometimes I see the actual video. Go ahead. Go ahead.
interesting. Okay, so I like to pull one tab, and then the other tab, I'm just taking it, I'm moving it all the way to the side of my screen. Do you see this like light gray box that popped up? It automatically pops there. And then all my other windows will open up around you, and then I can click which one I want. It will automatically size it perfectly for you.
Okay.
So when I'm presenting, generally I use a window, and then I pull my screens like this so that I could see on the window what I'm presenting, and then in the other one I could see the students. If I need to show more than one thing, I will present my full screen, and then what I like to do is I like to make this teeny tiny and over here, so I just see you guys a little. And then I like to pull up this and maybe my, document camera over here. I'm the screen stacker. I love stacking my screens because I could pull up a timer too if we're timing something as we're working. But with a Chrome tab, you should be able to just pop it out. So I just popped this back in, or I can just pop this back in. And you can pop it out as you need it and resize it. So you just pop it out by pulling it out. Was that too fast? Because I have a tendency to go quickly.
Could you do it one more time?
Yes, totally. So when I'm presenting, I pop out what I want. I take it all the way off to the side. And do you see the gray box that popped up there?
Yeah.
I let it go in the gray box. Okay, it will automatically size half the screen. And then I choose what I want on the other side of my screen.
How do you pop it out? You just pull it?
You just pull it out. All I'm doing is I'm literally just pulling it and putting it in, or pulling it and taking it out.
Okay.
So Becky, when you say pull it out, do you click and drag?
I click and drag. Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
got it.
Yep.
All right. Good question,
And it
Kay.
will automatically size you once you're off to the side.
Cool.
Did we have any other questions before we could just keep going on this?
Well, I think that also answers that question about seeing the students at the same time too.
Yes, totally.
You could definitely do the screens next, or the two tabs next to each other so you can see them at the same time.
Melissa, I love your question about the Google Slides. Maybe we should talk about that because that's not something I knew. It's slide 25, the slip-in slide.
Oh, okay. So one of the questions I've been asked, and I've also seen it on social media a lot, is can I change a slide or, you know, any slides after I've assigned them for students in the classroom? So if I have something I want to give them and I do one for each student, once you've assigned them to each student, you can't change it. Like you can't change the master and then it changes all the rest of them for the students, which is kind of hard because, you know, things change. You want to add them, you want to do different stuff. But there is an add-on called Slip and Slide, and I put a link to it on the slide, and we'll share the slide presentation. But if you can just Google it if you're interested, it's called Slip and Slide, and it allows you to insert slides into ones that you have already, in fact, any of them that you have access to, that you have editing rights to. So, you know, if I have 129 students in my classroom and I make a slide for each of them, or I make a, you know, one for each student, that's 129 separate things I would need to go into and then update individually. So instead, thank you for putting the link in the chat. Instead, what you can do is do this add-on, and the add-on allows you to pick what, you know, either as a folder or as individual files, what you want to slip it into, and then it will update it for you. So like I could see this if you just wanted to do in the beginning of the year, you know, a slide presentation, and you are having your students journal once a week. I could see, and then you wanted to put the prompts in for everyone. So I could see that, you know, you would give it to them in the beginning of the year, and then every week you would slide in and add another slide that had the next prompt in it. And then the next time, you know, the next week you could slide in and put in another prompt in. Or if you realize you, or one of your co-teachers that you work with made an error in a slide that's already been pushed out and assigned to every kid, you would either have to delete it and then reassign everyone, and then they may have already opened it or done their work in it, or you'd have to go into every individual student and actually make the change. This would allow you to just slide in and put a new slide in there that said, you know, ignore slide 5 or something. This is the correct link. So I do like this. I personally have not used it, but I could see where this would be like super helpful, giving you access to all of your students' slides even after you've assigned it to them individually.
Let's jump to slide 9. This is my favorite thing in the world. So I teach high school, so I have 100 students in an algebra class, and I use Google Slides for my assignment each week. So I have to open up each slide's presentation, and I have to see who's done what. So instead of opening up each single assignment, what I do instead is I find the Google Classroom folder on my drive. So here I am, I'm sliding through my drive and I find the assignment. And then I open up the activity panel and you can see who is edited. So I can just go into those assignments and give feedback to those students as opposed to giving or opening every single person and not having to give feedback to most of them. So this allows me to just pinpoint who has worked and give them feedback right away. I also really like it because sometimes I'll give feedback and the private comment will have like the time that I gave feedback. And then I quickly look in that part and I see, hey, have they gone on to it since I gave the feedback to see if I need to, explain something better, if they've made some changes or not. So that's my biggest time saver. Melissa, should we jump to maybe 38 or 37 with the coaches sharing their favorite tech tips and the favorite shortcuts? You are muted.
I was going to suggest that.
Hey, same page. We're going to share out this presentation at the end. It's just like this crazy archive of our thoughts right now. So we want to make sure that we get your questions and put them in as well so that we have a master of this. Did you guys sign in? Did we have them sign in?
No.
Okay. Do we want them to sign in so we can email you guys all the link? Our sign-in sheet is, I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
Okay. All right, Julie, why don't you start with your tip?
Well, my tip is very general, but I know some people get intimidated by technology, but it shows a lot that you guys are here today, and just don't be afraid to try things out. You're really not gonna break it. You can always practice. I know some of you were in with the Flipgrid last week, and we had that practice grid and a practice topic, and you can pretty much do that in any platform and just play around with it. And you might not have all of the features down when you first roll it out, but you can add more things as you start feeling more familiar and confident in them, but don't get intimidated. And you do have lots of support for you. I know Becky and Melissa are at the high school, but they have been doing these K-12, all these sessions, which is awesome. I'm here as a district-wide person, and then every building has a tech coach too. So please feel free to reach out to anyone if you need some help as you explore the tools.
You can even do that in Google Classroom as well. You can always just make a fake class. And you can, have, a teacher that join it. Or you practice with, I like to take my own children's logins and practice with them. They're in the district, so I can do that. If anyone ever wants some practice ones, I will give you my preschooler or my first grader. You could just add them to a classroom. It won't matter.
That's it. That was gonna be my tip. I like to try everything out with my own child's login, and you are welcome to use my child's login too. So if you need it, please let me know. We also have exchange students every year who would not mind you using their account to try something out. The incognito window to try out, to make sure that the links work, that the students can actually access all the videos. I even sometimes like to post things and in this fake Google Classroom and see what it looks like on their end. I also love when kids have a specific question, I film a video a lot of times using Screencast-Phi, so plug for Wednesday's workshop. When I do it, I log in as the kid. So I'll log into their Google Classroom or their assignment or their Infinite Campus, and then I'll film a video as the student so that they can see they are seeing what they actually see when they do it themselves.
One of the things that I love and I found that I get definitely the most response from the students is not the regular old stuff. It is Google Forms. They love to fill them out. And they may not do their science or their math assignment, but boy, if there's a form on there, they love it. And today I used a Screencastify, and I made a little video of the results of last week's end of the week survey. And I found it a great teaching tool because I was able to explain the bar graphs, and the pie graphs with their information in it. So that is by far, the Google Forms are where I get the most response from my students. So I would encourage everyone to try those.
Which reminds me, we do have a thing in here about Google Forms. I don't know about the other tech coaches, but Becky and I have been asked multiple times over the past couple weeks about the Google form and where to find the responses. So we threw that in here too in case you weren't sure. We do Google Forms a lot. And they have really made it so robust over the past couple years. You can have the summary tab. It's right next to the questions when you look at responses, but you can just look at the summaries. And I love that. And Amy, that's what I'm assuming you showed your kids. They have such nice pie and bar graphs in there. You could just look at one question, or you could look at individual students. We also like to use the Google Sheet, and I just download the Google, and I end up doing a lot of different things with the responses. But Google Forms is, I think, the most underrated app for sure. I'm gonna put that under.
And shout out, Julie, your little tip that you sent out this week in the forms from the 2 high school teachers that made those forms. Those are really friendly for all grades. I'm using it in 2nd grade. I know the high schoolers would love it too. So thanks to those 2 teachers that submitted those, because I've spread the word to a lot of people to try those out.
Hey, do you have a tip you want to share?
Hey, your mic's not on.
Sorry. I was going to say mine are more just using the Chromebook a little bit more easily and efficiently. So when I see all of your faces in the grid mode, I can still see the presentation, but sometimes maybe the print in the presentation is really small. So if you just take your 2 fingers, your first finger and your thumb, and you put it on your screen and pull them apart, it will make the screen larger on almost everything. There are some things that it won't work exactly, but I've been using that one a lot. If I'm looking at an email even, you can put your fingers on it and make it a little bit bigger. And then the other one is with all the tabs that we have at the top, the click and drag. So if I'm going to do a Google Meet, or if I'm going to have a TBT or something, before it starts and I'm getting ready, I take the tabs that I think I'm going to use most often, and I click and drag it all the way over to the right. So the ones that are going to be really useful to me, I don't have to look through all my tabs. I can just choose, my eye goes right to the right.
How did you do that last thing, Kay? How do you look at all of them at the same time?
All of the what at the same time?
The tabs, how are you picking the tab you were looking at?
Oh, I click on the tab actually, and I hold it down and I drag it over to the right.
Oh, okay.
I do that a lot too. If I'm like cutting and pasting activities into my weekly parent calendar that gets posted on the website, I'll have the tabs, and I have the ones like Kay said, the ones you're using, I put them close together because I usually have, I don't know, 20 tabs open at once. That's my problem, but it helps if you can group them all together. So yeah, Kay, that's a good one.
Lisa, did you have a tech tip in addition to that, or not right now? Did we cover everything?
The one thing that I kind of discovered like a few days ago was really looking at the to-do list in Google Classroom. I don't know if you know where that is. I can show you on my screen if you'd like.
Sure. Why don't you show us on your screen? Melissa, she's going to kick you off.
Okay.
Okay. One. Awkward pause while you're trying to load everything up here. Okay, so when you are on your when you're in your classroom, if you click on the little 3-line menu on the side, there's a to-do thing down here. So if you click that, like I can see these are all at a glance. I can see who's done what assignment. I didn't realize that they were all in a small area that I could see them all. And I think what happens if you click here? Oh, wait, let me go to something I've just, mark is reviewed. Well, I don't really know what that means, so I'm not going to click it, but it's just to
change the color from.
What does it do?
It looked like it changed the color, but I can't tell.
Well, it's changing the color because I'm rolling my cursor over it. But if I click on the little snowman menu, it just says mark is reviewed, but I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to click it. But at least for me, I'm able to see at a glance, who's done what. So I never really explored that.
Can you click on there? Can you click on those actual assignments from there, and will it jump you? I think it does.
Yes, it takes you. Oh, wait. That's something from something else. Here, let's go to one I've assigned now. Turn in. Yeah. So then in the regular assignment, and you can. This is what I've been going off of. Just going here, but it's nice to see them all at a glance. But yeah, so if you click on the assignment, it goes right to it. So that's a quick way to get to them. Oh, then here. What?
Can I ask a quick question? So when I do that, and after I see what they've turned in, how do I quickly get to what they turned in? Like, how do I see the assignment that they turned in? Do I have to do it, like, go to a folder and find it?
Well, okay, now mine don't, the things that I've given them haven't necessarily had them turn something in. Some of them are detaching work. Let's see if I can find something that they may have done.
I have a lot of stuff if you want me to present my Google Classroom real fast.
Yeah, why don't you go do that? Why don't you do that? Okay, let me get off here. Right.
And I'm like Lisa, mostly it's just if they did an assignment, they say, like, watch the video, they turn it in. But if there is something that they actually turn in, I seem to have to really search to find it. I know there's got to be an easier way.
So here's my to-do list, and I'm going to mark these as reviewed because they are math department stuff. Do you see it pops up in the reviewed section? So I don't need to look at it later. So that if you mark it as reviewed, it just comes off your all classes and it goes to the reviewed part. So I no longer have to look at those assignments. If I come down here, let's see, I want to do, where's Algebra 1 stuff? So let's see. So this right here, I have one student who turned it in. So if I click one student in, here is Simone's work. So I can actually open her work from there. So it took me 2 clicks to get to Simone's work.
Can you show that again?
Yep. So I went to, so you could do this a couple of ways. So you could do it from the to-do. So I can see one turned it in. So I'm going to click on Simone to see hers. And hers will pop up on top because she turned it in. And I can click to see what was attached to hers. If there's multiple attachments, I'll see different files on the side. So I know last week, let me come back out. I had a student who turned in multiple attachments on the same assignment. So right now, Ricardo's is still waiting to be graded. Okay, but I did have 45 graded already. So all of these kids either turned it in or I just graded it. And let's see. I want to show you what happened. So do you see Amore has 3 attachments? So when I click on first, I'll see the 3 attachments on the side here. So on this grading panel, it's just showing me the first one, but I can click and go to the next one if I want. So here's her next one, and then here's her third one. So do you want me to go through those steps one more time?
thank you. I'll have to go and fool around with it on my own a million times to figure it out.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go back to slide 21 and talk about sending missing messages on Infinite Campus. And then Christy, if we can come back and you can share your tech tip, because I know you have one. And I'm gonna take over the screen. So I'll talk about the directions up here, but then I'll also walk through it in Infinite Campus. All right. So Infinite Campus is not the most user-friendly message center ever. So if we're in Infinite Campus, the first tip I want to make sure is that you actually have things marked missing in Infinite Campus. What we found is, Becky, and you might want to talk about this because I know it happened to you, that there are some changes that are made if you do different kinds of self-made comments, and Becky, you can explain that a little bit better, that when you mark missing, Infinite Campus doesn't actually see it as missing. Becky, you want to explain that while I get this set up?
So what I do is I use grade marks instead of points. So in my grade book, instead of seeing a bunch of points in my grade book, you're going to see letters in my grade book. And it's just something that we set up as kind of the grading task force pilot. And so we've got like an A+ is 100% and that kind of thing. But what happened is that the M still went in as a 0%, but it didn't mark the missing flag. So what I've had to do now in this remote learning time, in order to send missing messages, I have to actually click that M that Melissa's showing you, that blue M on the screen. I have to go in and click. I can't just type in that letter M like you can do if you use points.
Okay, so, and the reason I mentioned that is because I know some people do different kinds of grading marks. I use numbers, so I haven't changed mine. When I put in M, it marks it as a missing. So I'm in the message center and I want to make a new message. And this is the dialog box that pops up. And you have 3 options. You can do a whole class message, a grades message, and a missing assignment message. And there is a difference between all 3 of these things. It definitely depends on who it goes to and the kind of information that it includes and whether or not you have to do it by individual class. So let's just talk about missing assignment message. So I'm going to choose that, and it already has a template that it loads. So if I scroll down here, you have the option of emailing it and going to the Infinite Campus inbox that is in the app or online when parents go in or students go in. You can pick the time that it's delivered, and the reply email is already automatically set up. So even if the message, it says it comes from IC Message Center, and I know Betsy recently updated it so it actually also has your name, because before, we were getting so many of these and it was teachers weren't necessarily putting a message subject in there that made sense, because the default one here is missing assignment. So before it would just say missing assignment and then it would just say from IC Messenger. So unless the teacher was really explicit, and I have 4 kids, and imagine how many different Infinite Campus messages I've received over the past month. It's really been helpful now that the teacher's name is in there too. So you can change the subject here. This is the default that's there. And it has these automatically populated areas on here, and it will have the student name, and then it will also have this list. And then it just suggests that they go to the parent portal for more information. You can add to this or you can change it. It totally is up to you. I'm just going to leave it as is right now. You can also attach things. So if you wanted to attach maybe the specific actual assignment that students were missing, you could actually attach that as well. So then you're going to, I like to test, by the way. The test, you can just send the email to yourself to see what it looks like. I don't know why I get really paranoid about what it's going to look like. So sometimes when I'm sending one to every single person, I like to test it. That's just me. So Then we would go to next. And this is what I've walked through with a couple people. The default is your first class in Q1. That is probably not what you want to send. So especially now that we're in Q4, you've got to scroll all the way down here. And you notice I have a lot of sections I co-teach, and I also have a lot of repeater sections. So that's why it looks like I have 1 million classes. I don't, it's only 5. So I would want to send to my first period. Now, what's not friendly about this process is that I'm going to have to do every single one of my sections separate. That is not how you send the class message, but that's how the missing message is sent. So I'm going to pick this class, and I'm going to pick the quarter that I want, and I can pick all the assignments, or I can pick just one of them. I'm not going to send the COVID-19 attendance. So this allows me to pick the section I want of students, and then I can pick the course or the assignments themselves that Infinite Campus is going to check if they're missing. And then I'm going to go to next. And it tells me a couple pieces of information that are important. It tells me, you know, when the email is going to go out, but it shows me who it's going to, how many people, and I can press review recipients. This is how Becky discovered that it wasn't actually sending missing messages to anyone, because it didn't register as missing. So she had 0 people receiving email or receiving these messages. So that's why I like to preview it to make sure it's going to where I want it to go. So you notice it goes to the student, and it also goes to if they have the family has email on record. And if they have more than one email, it goes there as well. So I can close this.
Preview it from that screen too. That's normally where I preview it. So instead of having it email me, I click preview on the right. You see where that's at, Melissa?
Yep.
And I just kind of see what is the kid going to see.
And I've noticed that it doesn't actually say all of the assignments. It usually only says 2 of them. Like, for example, this student's actually missing 5, but it's only showing the most recent 2 assignments.
Oh, that's interesting. I sent one this morning and mine were showing all of them.
I've been having that issue, and I've tried to look into figure out why. I have no idea. So then you would actually press send. So as I mentioned, this isn't the friendliest thing, because then you have to go back, and then I would have to pick my next section. And as you can see, I have a lot of sections. So then I would have to go back and pick, I got to go make sure I go to 4th quarter. I would have to pick that next section and then pick the assignment again, and then go to next and then send again. So because I have so many sections, I end up having to do this many times. But I also find that it's worth it, because it does go to, you know, it does go to who needs to see it. And I do typically get a response.
And Lisa had an important thing. Oh no, Amy had an important thing. Amy said, for elementary students, be sure to click the subject also. It will automatically go to all subjects, and parents will get emails 6 times. Oh my goodness, Amy, that's crazy.
Well, so there's an option on there. Oops, sorry. There's an option that allows, you can take that off so they don't get repeat messages. Under here, it says allow repeat messages. So hopefully they wouldn't be so many if they're the repeating messages, but I could see where that would be a serious problem. Oy. Okay, I'm going to close that. Let me go back into the presentation. Okay, are there other questions you want me to get to, or do you want me to go back into, oh, Christy's. I wanted to hear Christy's tip.
You know what? One of my favorite things, and everyone on this call may already know this, but I usually find someone who doesn't know about it, is, gosh, now it slipped my mind. The snipping tool. I love the snipping tool. And I'm sure that Becky and Melissa used it quite a bit to take screenshots for this presentation. I don't know if you ladies want to give us just a quick 20-second tutorial on that.
Yeah, love the snipping tool. And that is always something that we find that people don't know.
So there are a couple ways to do this. What I typically recommend is going to that search bar, and you can type in snipping tool. and search for it. And what's going to pop up, and let me bring this over because it's on my other screen, sorry. This is what my snipping tool looks like. And you can see it down here on my screen. Hopefully you can see down here all the way on the bottom. I've done is I've pinned it to my taskbar. And I did that, I just did that by right clicking. I did that because I use it 1 million times a day. I use it so often because it just allows you to snip anything anywhere. And then I copy and paste it into places. And I do literally use it so often and so many times per day, I can't even express how important it is. So again, I went to the search bar, or you can look for it in your start menu. And then once it pops up, it looks like this. It says snipping tool. And then if you go down to the toolbar or on the bottom and you right click it, you'll have the option of pinning or unpinning. Mine is already pinned, so that's my option is to unpin. But I use it so often, that's why I always have it down there. And I mean, really, like it comes in handy for everything. And that's related to Google Forms as well, because a lot of times I just want to snip a picture of like a math equation or a diagram or a picture of something, and then I can just save it as a picture. You can see
when you open it for the first time, though, it's not going to look like Melissa's. Melissa's already taken a screenshot of Tier's phone number, it looks like. So when she opens it, it's just going to be a toolbar, and you can click new and take it from there.
And then this can be pasted anywhere.
And it's automatically copied, which is nice. You could also write on top of this. So sometimes like a kid will email me and they're like, I can't find the classwork tab. You know, I take a quick screenshot and then I circle where the classwork tab is and I show them real fast. I also love the delay. You can delay it a couple of seconds. So if you want to show them like the progression of clicks under like file, make a copy, I delay it so that I can pull that part up and then I take the screenshot. You could also save this on your computer. I know sometimes you need to save it to open it up in a different thing. The save button's right there. It will all capture, so you will have to change that. Or if you don't care about the name of it, I just kind of save them on top of each other since I take so many screenshots.
I wanted to share too that I know that tech coaches are often asked, how do you know all of this? Or how do you stay on top of all the Google updates? Because Google is constantly changing. Even Meet, if you think about how Meet was when we all were sent home on March 13th versus today, it's changed tremendously. And so I know we don't have time to join or do one more thing right now, but if you consider joining Twitter and just spending 5 minutes a day, we can all give you some tips on who to follow, but that's how I stay on top of things. And I know some of the other tech coaches do too, because even the updates, I think that Melissa and Becky shared earlier on how do you, that slip and slide one, Melissa, did you get that from Twitter? Because I saw that this morning on Twitter. So it's just a great way to keep up to date. So again, I'm not trying to get people to do one more thing, but consider that. And before, I know the time is wrapping up and I don't want to overtake your presentation, but ladies, I do have to say that you've done an awesome job on these slides and this presentation. Thank you for putting this together for us. And to all of you teachers, happy Teacher Appreciation Day.
Oh, thank you. For sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Melissa's on, I feel like, a really important screen right now about why you should become Google Certified Educator and how you could do it. And right now there are coupon codes, so you can get it for cheap if you want it. I'll put it in the speaker notes right now, the coupon codes.
Can I ask one more question before we go?
That is why we are here.
Okay, thank you. I noticed that some people have their code for their Google Meet on the cover page of their classroom. I don't know if you call it a cover page. I just don't know how to do that.
Oh, I could talk about that.
Okay, thank you. I noticed you guys had that.
So let me back up and talk about the difference between Google Meets. If you using nickname like what you did on this one, it's a great way to do it, especially like this is so easy. CHUH Tech, everyone can type it in. I don't have to put a link anywhere. With students, it's also a secure link if you do through Classroom. So I'll bring up my classroom. Here's my, I'm still on my to-do list here. So here's my classes. This is my Algebra 2 class. I have all my students in one class. I have 129 of them. Actually, I'm down to 127. I must have kicked some of them out. So I have my Meet link showing all the time. You don't have to do that. Even if it's showing and students try to get in and I'm not there, they can't get in. It's even though it's visible, that doesn't mean anything. I just leave it there. So once I'm in a classroom, I'm going to go up here to the settings, that little gear. And if I scroll down, here is my Meet code. Now, the Meet code that is secure is either the nickname one or this one. And it looks like this. It says the word lookup, and it has this set of letters and numbers after it. This one is secure. The ones that you get through Calendar are not. And again, the difference between them is that if you have a link that's generated through Calendar, it looks different than this, and students can get in there even if you're not there. Which leads me to my next comment about this, and you can just click on it to copy it, and then you can put the link anywhere you want, is that students often try to go in early, and when they go in early, they can't get in and they think something's wrong. They think something's wrong with the link. It's not the link, it's just they can't get in until you're there. So we usually recommend, we have office hours. I think everyone has office hours. I like to go in at like 10 minutes or 5 minutes beforehand, just to make sure I beat the kids, because I don't want them getting that message that says, the link doesn't work, or it says something like.
I'm going to pull up the screen so that they can see what it looks like when a student tries to enter early. Is that okay?
I'll got a screenshot of that in here. Here, it's right here.
Oh, yeah.
So I have my link to my classroom is through Classroom. I mean, my link to the link to my Meet through is in Classroom. But this morning, now I have my para as one of the teachers in there, and when I went on this morning, she and one of the kids was already in there. Was that because she was in there as a teacher? Okay. And the other question is, and I've looked for this and I just don't think it's possible. I wanted to do the one where you make up your own name, but that one doesn't go through Classroom. Is that correct? Okay, they should make that so you can do that. But anyway,
yeah, okay. It would be nice, but that's just the nickname. You would just have to send them to the meet.google.com and then they would use the nickname.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that would be nice for them to combine that.
Hey, Melissa, can you flip to slide 14 real fast? You're not in present mode, are you? Or are you in? Yeah, there we go. This is the message they'll get if they click on the Google Classroom link and you're not in there. So it'll say, sorry, you encountered a problem during this video call. So sometimes kids think they did something wrong, but it just means that there's no teacher in there currently.
So I still am not sure how to make it show on.
Oh, on here?
You can just on the front page.
Yep, right here.
Yeah.
Yep, it's visible to students, and you can toggle it on and off.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and it also shows up on the classwork tab. It's up here too.
Oh, okay.
Calendar, but I like to just point out to the students that it's in, like right above here in the banner. They could see it. Like I said, because it's visible doesn't mean it's live. I just leave mine up all the time.
Okay.
Each classroom has a different Google Classroom Meet code or Meet link. So what we suggest is not making it visible and just putting the link on the one link to one of them and put it on all of your pages as an announcement. What I opted to do is we just use a nickname. So all of my students know they can go to CHUH Alg 1 and they'll get to the algebra teachers.
So yeah, I would just copy it. If you didn't want it to be visible because you have a bunch of different classrooms. You could just go to another classroom. Like, for example, I'm also a teacher in my mentee's class, his geometry class. Obviously, he doesn't have that link showing, but if I wanted all his students to join me, I could just make an announcement and put my link in here. I also have my link in about 10 other places. So I share it anywhere I can. I share it with the students.
You're at that time. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you signed in, I will send you an email with this presentation. If you did not sign in, but you still want that presentation, it is on our website. So here's the sign in one more time. And you have our website on the last slide, Melissa?
Yep.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Melissa did put all of the tech coaches on there, so you could reach out to us, so you could reach out to your own building's tech coach.
I love our little pictures.
Yes. Because your picture looks good. Mine is like a picture from that day. Yeah, Screencastify on Wednesday. It is looking so good. There are so many things in Screencastify that I didn't play with before this weekend, so I'm pretty excited. Thank you guys for coming.